Welcome to everybody who's joined and to everybody who's watching this online or at a later stage. Welcome. And we're so excited that you're watching this and you're here with us. We are here with the amazing Amanda Peters, who is joining us as a host from Intermediate School District. She's an awesome instructional technology coach and she has a lot to share with you all. We are so excited to have her here. I'll also introduce myself. My name is Melek, and if you've been around Nookly, maybe you've seen me around the platform through the chat or through some of the videos. If you're brand new to Nookly, welcome. We are so excited to have you here, and we can't wait to share more about all the awesome things our members are doing, which Amanda has been a huge example of. So without further ado, Amanda, welcome. I'm passing on the mic to you, and we're so excited to have you here.
Well, I'm really excited to be here. I'm Amanda Peters, an instructional technology coach for Intermediate School District 917 in Minnesota. I've worked in the field of special education for over 25 years now. You stop counting after that mile marker. I've been a special ed teacher, an assistive technology coordinator, a professional development provider, and now an instructional technology coach. But what I love about my current role is the students, first and foremost, right? They are why we do what we do. But another part I love is over the last few years, a big part of my role has been exploring what AI can do for us in the field of special education. Um, and this is important because no matter what your role is in special education, you're always short on time, right? And you're short on time
Mhm.
because you have all these things going on. You have professional development, you're creating social stories and visual schedules and writing progress reports and writing IEPs and doing evaluations and incident reports and differentiating curriculum. And it goes on, right? So, oops, I apologize here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So the first thing is you're always short on time. And the second thing is you're constantly creating or modifying materials for students. And sometimes that is differentiating curriculum. And sometimes we're creating all that support material to help students regulate their feelings and gain the social emotional skills that they need. So we're spending all this time creating materials for our students, but in the end, if students aren't engaged in those materials you've created or modified, and not just engaged with the lesson materials, which is important, but also engaged with the visuals that we create, the ones to support their ability to cope with the things that make school hard for them, they still aren't going to learn, right? If they're not engaged with those things. So what we know in special education that one strategy to help engage students in the content we're teaching is to make it personal, make it relevant, but make it personal. So we think of how long social stories have been around. And how we know when we use the student's name in a social story or when we write it from the student's perspective, the content's going to be much more effective. Now, if we take that even a step further and we make the visuals we use look like the student, now we've really captured their attention. And if I'm a student who uses a wheelchair or I use a communication device, I don't get to see too many pictures of students using a wheelchair or using a communication device. And so when I do see that, now I feel seen and I feel heard. And I start to feel connected, right? Which is something we all need. And so we know that personalization helps with engagement and it helps with that connection that we all need. We all crave that sense of belonging. It's one of our basic needs, right? And so when we personalize things for them, we see that all of a sudden they know someone cared about them enough to include them in a really special way. And now they're paying attention to that character that looks like them or that looks like their friends. And once they're engaged with the content, um, that's where the magic happens, right? Um, so now all of a sudden we have students who are engaged in lifelong learning because we're wired to enjoy learning. And so once we have a couple of positive experiences, it snowballs. A switch flips, and now the world opens up to me because I know learning is fun. So even though we're short in time, we understand the value of personalizing visuals. And luckily, now there's some AI tools that can take a big chunk of that time burden away. In my district, we're lucky enough to be piloting Nookly, and staff in lots of different roles are using it to create materials. We have social workers using it, we have school counselors using it, we of course have teachers using it. And we're using it a lot to create social stories. And one kind of unique spin that we've put on social stories is using Nookly's song feature now in order to encourage students to use their communication device, because this is often a struggle, right? It's something that we've created social stories about over the years. But by creating a song about it, just encouraging the student to use it, we just simply start the student's day with them listening to the fun, catchy little song that features a picture of them. And I'll go one more slide over here. So this is the picture that plays, the video that plays. Um, but it's turned into something that instead of a prompt throughout the day now, get your communication device out, get your communication device out. Now we can just start singing that song. And the student's like, oh, yeah, yeah, it's nice if I use my communication device. I'll go get it out. And so it's become this nice little nudge instead of this tension of staff giving the student a command, right? So let's go look at this fun thing. And I'm just going to make this bigger. We'll make it full screen here in a minute.
Tap, tap on the device screen, words flow like a gentle stream. Laughs arise, a class of prize. Voices dance, tech fireflies. Teachers impressed with your work. Share your thoughts so you are heard. Time to learn, time to shop. It is fun to use my device like that. Tap, tap.
So you can see it's just a really fun, kind of catchy tune. That's something, right? It's something that's brought joy into both the staff and the students' day. And so all this, yeah, yeah, it's really, really very fun. All right, so I'm gonna exit my preview mode here, and I'll just show you a few of the things in Nookly that I've been talking about because I think it's so powerful what we've found. So what I really love, if we go out here to our create page, and if you haven't logged into Nookly since Thursday, you'll see that it looks very different. It's got a whole new revamp here, and it's very sleek. But if we want to create a social story, we can do it featuring a student. And what's so great, so I always like one of the ones I use all the time is having a substitute teacher, right? Because this is something
Mhm.
that can be hard for kids. And so if I just click go, now I can choose from one of my current learners in here that look like the students I'm working with. But if you're doing your very first one, you can start with a photo, which is really great. You upload it, then a character looks just like the student. But here, if I click on enter child details, I don't need a photo. I can just enter their name, their gender, their ethnicity, their age, hair color, all of that. But here's the real powerful part, because this is the part we're often missing, is that we have this accessories thing here. And so, yep, there's eyeglasses, headwear, mobility cane, hearing aid, wheelchair, prosthetic arm, prosthetic leg, braces, or using an AAC device. And you can select as many of these things that apply to the student. So we can really customize it and make it look more like that student. So they feel seen and they feel heard. And it normalizes some of those things too that they might not feel is normal about them, right? But it's really cool. You can kind of see the details here. Then we just go through tailoring the details and editing the draft language. What I love, the other thing I love is that once Nookly creates the script, you get to edit it, and you get to edit it before all these beautiful visuals are created. So that if it's not just what you want, you can change it and make it just exactly what you want. And you do that before those visuals are created, so the visuals match what you've created in your script. So that is really cool, and I can just show you one more example here. I won't play it out loud, but I do have, this was just an example too of a social story, not in song form, just so that you can kind of see the beautiful visuals that this creates. And this will read out loud to the student, and then you can share it with whoever also works with the student. So you're sharing the same materials, but you can see how simply beautiful it is. And if you you can further customize it by, if you have a student who needs more high contrast, the backgrounds are too much for them, you can take the backgrounds away. So really just the customization is just endless. It's really has been a great tool for us. Yes. So if we go back here, we'll go back to our, what we have found as we've been personalizing visuals for students is the impact on kids is awesome, right? Students are engaged. Students feel connected and concepts stick. And so I've been encouraging staff too to use that song feature, not just to create fun social stories for our kids, which is super powerful and super good, but also use it to help teach concepts. So our kids who need a movement break throughout the day, if you are learning about the life cycle of a butterfly, for example, have Nicolay create you a song about the life cycle of a butterfly. And then, at the top of the hour when the kids need a movement break, turn the song on and let them dance to the beat, and pretend they're a butterfly or whatever it is. And then just take turns, right? You can take turns swapping out students to feature during the week. It's because students like to see their peers as well as just themselves. That's also engaging for them. As long as they are also included at some point, they like that. Um, so let's keep going here. I was just wanted to mention too, here are all these songs or all these features that Nookly has for us where you can create songs, you can create stories. So this is great. Just when you're doing a lesson about a particular topic, create a fun story that includes your student in it. And emotion cards, exercises and worksheets, first then boards, lesson plans. And something I love about the lesson plans is it not just gives you a lesson plan, but then the option to create support materials for the lesson that you're doing. And then, so now your support materials about the lesson can feature students in your class. So that's really powerful too, something that you can do very quickly. And then picture cards, speech cards, the social stories, of course, and also the visual schedules. So how do you decide, right, which of these tools are going to work the best for your students? Oops, sorry, my clicker is giving me issues today. But
Always.
right? It's just three questions that help you really narrow down what would be most helpful. So just ask yourself, what task does the student need to complete? Do they need to learn a new concept? Maybe you need to do a lesson plan then. Do they need to get better at transitions between classrooms? Then maybe you need to do a social story. And then just think about what barriers they're facing in completing those tasks. And that will also help you decide which of those tools to use. And finally, what are their interests and their preferences, right? Does your student prefer quiet and stillness? So maybe a social story is best. Or do they appreciate movement and music? And then maybe the animated song is a better way to go. So lots and lots of things that you can do. Let's go. So I'm hoping that we've left you with some ideas about ways that you can personalize visuals for your students. And I don't know if there are any questions, but would be happy to address those now.
Awesome. That
I
was
do
so
want to,
helpful. I love these questions so much. Thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Amanda.
oh, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. We appreciate your time.
We appreciate your time. That was so, so helpful. And I love the AAC device song. That's just so beautiful. And I think it really resonated with me where you said we just want something that instead of the teacher saying every time, take out your communication device, that is already in itself a little bit uncomfortable for the students. So just making it a little bit lighter and making it a little bit more ease or setting more ease into their day, I think that makes so much sense. And so, do we have any questions from the audience? You can feel free to write it in the Q&A section. You could also send us over any questions over email that we will definitely also share with Amanda. If you're watching this online, feel free to send us anything over and we'll pass it on as well. I do have a question for you, Amanda, actually.
Yeah.
In the meantime, and my question is like, how do the students respond when they have or when they see that, okay, this is something that I've been struggling with a lot, and now I can see it and I can touch it if I've printed this out or I can hear it. How do you see that they respond to something like this versus when they see it just as like a regular photo that is not really personalized to them?
Yeah, well, again, it goes back to they feel special, right? And
Mhm.
that's what we want our kids, and special in a good way. Sometimes they feel special in a way that they don't like, right? Like, why do I
Yeah,
need this extra help and other people don't? But they feel seen and they feel heard and they feel important, right?
yeah,
And and just much more engaged. I mean, if you yeah, when you are the center of the story or the lesson or whatever, well, it's hard to ignore that.
yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful. And then one more other question is AI. I know AI has been a big topic, and you mentioned that in the beginning, but I'm wondering how you got comfortable using AI and how you got comfortable to use Nookly's AI. How did it go for you, and how would you give or share any advice for people who are still exploring AI, not really sure what kind of tools to use, or maybe they're a little bit scared or hesitant to use AI with their kiddos, in general, or at home, or at school, or anywhere?
Yeah, well, I would say, first of all, don't be afraid to make mistakes. And
Mhm.
secondly, I mean, just make sure you're using a tool that is safe, like Nookly, right? Look at the privacy policies and
Mhm.
those sorts of things. And then you don't have to be scared to make a mistake at all because there's nothing that can't be undone. But I also always tell people that you do not have to be an expert in AI to use AI. You only have to be an expert
Mhm.
in your students because being an expert in your student means you know what prompts to put into whatever AI tool you're using. Um, yeah, what's great about AI is it's important to be specific. It's better to be specific. I think what I've seen is we're so used to doing a Google search back in the day when Google didn't include AI. And so we were used to just giving short, concise, like, I'm looking for this. And
Mhm.
now we can be really, really elaborate in our conversations with AI. And so the more you know your student, the more elaborate you can be about their needs, and then the better results you get. And that's what's so powerful. And because in special ed, the name of the game is personalizing and differentiating, um,
Mhm.
there, there is nothing, we can't teach anything out of the box, even if it's made for a special education setting, because it still needs differentiation. And if you're going to differentiate, why not personalize it too, which is what's so great about tools like Nookly that allow us to do that.
Yeah. And as a special educator, do you think these tools kind of facilitate your work on a daily basis, or how do you kind of approach it when you're creating materials? Do you usually kind of sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create for this student for this much material, or is it like a weekly basis? I'd just love to know how was your workflow as a special educator with these AI tools?
Yeah. So as we know, time is an issue, right? So it's
Hmm.
whenever you have time, right? So there's two things. A need comes up and you know you have to spend the time. Um, and so whether it's something you whip up quickly during, spur of the moment, or whether
Yeah.
it's something that you can do. So sometimes you can be much more mindful of it, right? Like, what am I teaching this week? And so I'm going to sit down and I'm going to use my AI tools to help me prepare for the things I need to teach during the week. But often those needs just pop up. Someone's struggling with something specific. And so now I need to just go do this immediately. The other thing
Mhm.
that I've seen that is really cool is, if your student is in a place, if they're struggling but not struggling too much, have them sit next to you to create the visual and help them
Mhm.
be part of the process. That can be really fun for them too, is to get a chance to just sit with you as you're creating it.
Wow, that's awesome. I really love that actually. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because it's a lot of visuals are very intriguing. So I would imagine that students might enjoy it. That's so cool. I love that.
Exactly. And they might
Awesome.
teach you something that you didn't know about something because our students
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and I think that the awesome part is like this co-creation piece because you have their input as to what they want to see, and then you have your own expertise, and then you have the AI. And I think these three work really well together when you're in the same environment and building.
Exactly, exactly. You can look at the visuals together and say, do you like this one or should we change it up? And why should we
Mhm.
change it up? And even just that whole process, you're building vocabulary with the kids, right?
Yeah,
Have them tell you why they don't like a particular picture and what we should change and why we should change it. And that can be it can be a lesson in and of itself.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. These were all my questions. I don't think we have any questions right now in the chat, but I'll definitely forward any questions that come your way. Thank you so, so, so much on behalf of the entire Nookly team. We're so grateful to have members like you, Amanda, who are just using the tools so like benefit in such a beneficial way for all their students. So thank you so much for your expertise and for being so open to sharing what you're creating with your students as well, and for being here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for creating a great tool. I love it.